let's talk about women in anger. So it's springtime here in the San Luis Valley, and spring typically is the wettest, snowiest, kind of most lush season. You know, I live at high mountain desert, 8,500 feet altitude, and it's a desert. But the springtime is usually when a lot of the wetness and moisture comes in. Well, right now it is brown, it's bone dry, and the winds are gusting somewhere around 30, 40 miles an hour, and they're going to be gusting for several days. So it feels like I'm sitting here inside of like a box of matches, basically, you know? So it's a very, very precarious situation weather-wise. And yesterday I was talking with a friend about it, and we were talking about how, you know, the dryness in the soil might be doing something in terms of activating all the wind, you know, that there's something about moisture that holds the wind down. But we were, you know, we're sitting here in this valley and, you know, elsewhere. I mean, really, I think this is true throughout the Western United States right now, that we're all kind of sitting here with our breath, like holding our breath. And if my internet goes out, by the way, it's probably because of the wind. So if I go down, you know that that's why it is. So we're all sitting here kind of, you know, white knuckling and getting our emergency bags prepared and so on. And my feeling about this is that the wind is very much Mother Nature's response to, among other things, a century or more in this region of the country of wildfire suppression. So, you know, the Europeans who came to this part of what we now call the United States, you know, the ethos for the last 100 years or more has actually been no fire. You know, we can't have fire at any cost. So we're just going to keep fire down. We're going to keep it away. We're going to push it away. And now what that has created are the very conditions that will give rise to the thing that they were hoping the fire suppression would avoid. In other words, you know, we're really past the point here where wildfire can actually be healthy. You know, unless we do controlled burns, unless we somehow manipulate the whole situation from a human point of view, you know, the fire that comes through, which it will come through eventually, the fire that comes through is going to be a big scorching crown fire that will sterilize the ground and really cause destruction rather than nourish. You know, fire is part of the medicine of this landscape. And without fire, there are certain trees and certain flora that just won't grow. So the suppression of wildfire and having like a policy, you know, a deliberate, intentional policy of wildfire suppression reminds me a lot of the corresponding centuries-old suppression of feminine wisdom. And in particular, the suppression of feminine anger, which is a form of wisdom. So for us as women, we are holding our own internal collective wildfire suppression. You know, we have participated in this through centuries of gaslighting, of having our experience systematically marginalized and denied, of being told to be nice, be a good girl, go kiss Aunt Mimi, you know, when you don't want to go kiss Aunt Mimi, and so on. We, I think, as women collectively have developed a very distorted relationship to anger. And on the curriculum platform, there's a really brilliant talk, if I must say so, that Mary Sheila and I gave about this a couple of years ago about anger. And Mary Sheila said, you know, all anger begins with a gut sense. You know, all anger starts with something in our gut that says, no, this isn't right. You know, there's some injustice here, there's some violation here, there's something here that needs to be redressed. So consequently, the suppression of our anger, you know, the not honoring of our anger has led us to sever, if you will, to sever our connection with our bodies from the waist down. So if you are struggling with, you know, digestive disturbances, if you are struggling with, you know, reproductive second chakra disturbances, anything like endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome or uterine fibroids, or, you know, anything down there, so to speak, that feels out of line, I would encourage you to, you know, just place your hands on your heart and see if you can listen. You know, see what it is that this part of your body needs to tell you. And in particular, if there's some message of injustice or violation that needs to be redressed and amended. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit more. Mary Sheila is going to hold the floor in a little bit, talking about the gut-brain connection, and also talking about hangry, getting hungry and angry, and the relationship between blood sugar and erratic emotions. So these are all the things that we're going to work with this month. So for most of us, you know, for most of us, anger is one of the most difficult emotions to feel. You know, connecting in with anger can be extremely uncomfortable because for myself, I know, like, you know, it's like this, it is literally like a wildfire. You know, it's like this anger comes up and it's so hot and it's so intense and it's kind of unbearable. And I need to do something about it right now. And for most of us, if we don't sort of allow that fire to have the space it needs, you know, we will act it in, you know, we'll suppress it, we'll bring it back down. We'll tell ourselves that there's something wrong with us. You know, oh, maybe I'm being a bitch. Maybe I'm being too this or too that, or not enough of this or not enough of that. And then it's from that place where we head to the cupboard for the food, right? Okay. So what I want to work with this month is, how do we find a right relationship with this energy of anger, which fundamentally, its nature is wisdom. You know, if we mine down into the anger, there's some wisdom there. There's something, again, there's some injustice, there's something wrong, there's some way that our gut sense is saying, hey, no, this isn't okay, right? So how do we find that wisdom, and how do we ride this energy of anger without, you know, totally suppressing it, or on the other extreme, totally acting it out and having, you know, the crown fire, you know, the scorched earth policy that can really cause a lot of destruction, right? And in thinking about, you know, what is contributing to the destabilization of our climate collectively, you know, I mean, you might think climate change is like a crock of nonsense, or you might be a climate change activist. You know, either way, the bottom line is, you know, I'm sitting here in a dust bowl right now, and it's supposed to be a wet, snowy springtime. So, you know, the researchers and the people that I have followed, one of the things that is most harmfully impactful on our climate is procuring foods from a long distance. So what Mary Sheila was saying, you know, Mary Sheila, what you were saying about sprouts and farmers markets and your own gardens and CSAs, you know, in terms of our food system, our food chain, the longer the chain is between the producer and the consumer, the more fragile that system becomes and the more prone it is to disruption. So, I filled up my gas tank yesterday and it was $60. And typically, 6 months ago, it used to be $45 to fill up my tank, and now it's 60, So we're seeing fuel prices going up. We're seeing food prices going up. We're going to supermarkets now. And I go to the natural grocery stores here, and there's whole shelves that are there's whole things that are just not there, So the longer that chain is from producer to consumer, the more vulnerable that system becomes. Versus, on the other hand, you go outside and here's your garden, right? It's a shorter chain. Or you're going to a farmer's market and Farmer Ben is going to have asparagus, that's something that would be in this time of year, right? The asparagus is going to start coming in. And so, it's a shorter chain. So it's consequently a more reliable food system. And it's also a more ecologically beneficial food system. And it's also a more gut beneficial food system. And there was one more thing I was going to say too, which is, crap, I can't remember. I was on such a tear, and then I was like, what am I going to say? Anyway, community supported agriculture. Yeah, this is an interesting phenomenon, because essentially what you do here is you pay a farmer up front. And here where I live, the CSA it's $400 for a share. So you pay some money up front. This gives the farmer the opportunity to buy seeds, repair equipment, hire the help they need. It gives them the cash that they need to operate their business. So you basically invest a share in the farm, and then you receive a payout through the season of, heirloom purple broccoli that you don't ever see at the grocery store. That's incredibly fresh and super peppery and delicious, or, some seeds for sprouts or value-added goods. It's food in the bank, basically, a CSA. You're putting food in the bank. And I think now with our food system, we're starting, the cracks in the food system that were bound to surface inevitably are now surfacing. And so this is the time not to look to the mega food chains for your food. Come on back in, look in your backyard, go to your next door neighbor, go to the farmer's market down the street. Yeah, I think you're going to find more there.